We've all been hearing a lot of buzz about AI, about how it's about to change our lives, change the way we work, and even change the way we interact with others. But what's its real impact going to be on your life? And what's going to be the impact on the automotive aftermarket industry? My name is Lauren McCullough, and I'm co-founder and CEO of Trommel. And I've had the pleasure over the last couple of years of helping to educate the automotive aftermarket industry on the impacts of AI and how it's going to start changing your jobs. And I've created this course to help give you the fundamentals, to help you understand how this powerful technology can be used to make your life and your job a little bit easier. Now, to start off today, we want to talk about some basic fundamentals of AI, because though this technology is really powerful, it's certainly not perfect. Now, the easiest way to think about AI is it's really a technology that's helping to replicate human behavior. Because if we're being honest, we spend a lot of time in our lives doing very redundant activities. And unlike humans, AI is able to process an incredibly large amount of data, which has become possible because of increasing computing power that we've seen in the last decade. And because it's able to process this information much faster and in a much grander scale than humans could, it gives companies the ability to have a competitive advantage by getting access to insights they need to grow their business in real time. Imagine all that time you've wasted on redundant activities. All of those emails that you sent, creating the same exact content over and over again. Spending hours manually clipping out images. Looking at huge Excel files, trying to understand how you can reduce the stockouts that your company's experiencing. It's this and many other ways that AI is going to change the way we do business. But when we look at AI, it's important to recognize the different types of tools and technologies that actually exist. When we look at the terminology that's used, we have artificial intelligence, and this is the broad umbrella term that we're using to express a broad set of technology. But within this, we have multiple different functions. We have tools like narrow AI. This is those type of tools that came around when you started playing chess with your computer, but have been adapted to things like how we use cruise control within our car. It might also be able to alert you about those inventory stockouts. As this technology got more and more advanced, we introduced concepts like machine learning. And machine learning isn't just replicating these tasks over and over again, but it's continuing to learn by the outcomes and the impact of those outcomes that are created by your artificial intelligence technology. And the reason we're having this conversation today is because deep learning has really taken over, particularly in its subset, generative AI and large language models. This includes tools like Copilot, Gemini, and ChatGPT. The reason that large language models and tools like ChatGPT have become so popular is because this is one of the first ways that a regular consumer can actually access this technology to make their life easier. Because it's creating a human-like response based on already aggregated data, it allows anyone to come in, create an account, and start instantly getting value. But it's important to remember, ChatGPT is a tool. And it's a tool that's not necessarily, as a public user, integrated into your own data set. Again, it's using the world's data, similar to like the way we interact with Google. And that means, by and large, I'm getting the same responses that you're getting, even though we might have very different contexts and very different questions that we're coming to this platform to ask. And this is the case with many AI tools, including those that are helping to create new media, because it's using these larger data sets. It's not actually tailoring it to your brand unless you do what's called prompt it to help you get a more tailored response. You might have heard of techniques called prompt engineering, and this has actually become an entire field in which people understand the ways in which they trigger these type of systems to generate the response that you want. When you're speaking to a large language model, you have to tell them who you are and what you're specifically trying to get out of using their platform. For example, you could ask it to estimate what are the best-selling auto parts in winter, and it's going to be able to aggregate the data that it has in its database and try to produce a response. And while these tools are amazing, you have to recognize that there's limitations, and there's actually much more broad uses of AI that can help make a real impact on your bottom line. One of my favorite ways to use AI tools is within embedded AI technology. These are tools that integrate with your own data sets and your own systems to help to optimize the processes you're already doing on a daily basis. This can include assessing your own sales, customer behavior, or even maybe the sentiment that your brand has online. And what's powerful about these tools is they're trained to do that specific function, and many of them know exactly where AI should be applied and where it might still lack some capabilities. For example, you could ask ChatGPT what are the best-selling auto parts in the winter, but a much more effective way to use AI will be to look at your historical data and look at market intelligence data and then re-ask this question. And you might be able to specifically help understand where is brake pads being sold in the winter? What are the different trends on a specific category or use of a product? You can even make sense of how market intelligence data and your own data fit together and extract meaningful insights from these data sets. But AI is also incredibly good at making predictions. Now, while AI has its own biases, it's not as biased as humans. We have a whole lived experience in which determines the way we measure and monitor and make decisions about our company. But because of AI's ability to take much larger data sets, aggregate these together, and extract insights from it, we're going to get much more concrete answers than we might from our own gut checks. Specifically, machine learning models are incredible at helping to detect abnormalities and patterns within your own data. It's because they can ask more questions more different ways than a human ever could. And with deep learning models, we can take unstructured data and actually make sense of patterns and recognize patterns within these data sets without actually doing any of our own data mapping. And as long as we're giving this AI model feedback on what's a good and what's a bad response, they can continue to get more and more sophisticated over time, not just globally, but for our own company. But with this said, there's a lot of limitations to AI. For example, it is only as good as the data you give it. And in fact, if you end up giving it bad data, there's a garbage in, garbage out problem, and it can actually give you misleading responses. You'll also notice some challenges if there's not enough variety in your data sets. For example, if you're using AI to help detect maybe defects on paint for a part that you sell, and you've only been measuring it with parts that are white, and you throw a red part through your assembly line, it's not going to be able to pick up on this defect because it doesn't actually have enough data and enough variance to give you the feedback that you need. It's also important to remember that AI is only going to do exactly what it's told. It's not good at reading your mind. And whether you're using a tool like ChatGPT or using a broader AI technology, you have to be very, very specific in what task you want it to accomplish, because it doesn't like telling you it's wrong. And what will often happen, particularly with large language models and tools like ChatGPT, is if it doesn't know the answer, it'll just make one up. This is called AI hallucinations. And this can be incredibly dangerous if you're making big business decisions based on its responses. This is why, in addition to making sure the data that you're inserting into the system is clean, that you're also validating any of the responses that are coming out. It's also important to recognize the security risk that AI might present to your company. When you're using public tools like Gemini or ChatGPT, this is based on a public database and it's actually going to share your data back out with the public. And while this might not be a big deal if you're just writing a blog post, it might be a pretty big deal if you're uploading a CAD file. But fortunately, tools like OpenAI actually have their own API, and so companies can leverage these tools within their own private database. And so that means the data that you upload is actually protected based on that company's own data security and not going to be shared with the learning models that are used by the broader public. All these benefits and limitations make it really important that we as organizations are trying to understand how we're going to be leveraging AI at our company. And I want to be clear about one thing. There is no such thing as an AI strategy. What we're actually focused on is business strategies that can be optimized with the use of AI, whether that be through existing tools or through embedded technology. And this needs to align with our existing business problems. So if you have challenges on inventory management, you need to understand how AI can help support that specific challenge. If you're looking to understand your brand online, you need to understand how sentiment analysis tools can help improve your decision making. And ultimately, if you're overwhelmed by the amount of data at your company, you have to understand which data sets can be normalized in a way that can be AI ready and able to extract the insights that you need to grow your business. The bottom line is we've got to get ahead of AI and we've got to understand its impact in our business. I hope this overview was helpful for you to understand its specific use cases and inspire you to how you can start using it in your business and in your life. Now, we're going to be talking a lot more about AI in our future videos, particularly talking about the specific applications that AI can be used to help improve your revenue, streamline your operations, and reduce your cost. If you're interested in this content, be sure to subscribe. And if you've got any questions or comments or suggestions for future videos, be sure to leave them in the comments below. Thanks for watching and see you next time.